Hi, I'm Joy Roby, and I am here today covering for Marilyn. She's still out in the hospital and recovering from surgery, but she wanted to talk to you today. So I have a very special treat. And in the meantime, we also have a wonderful stand-in for her, who I'm really excited about working with also. But let's get Marilyn on the phone, and she wants to talk to you about the word patience because she's really learned a lot about that word in the past couple of weeks. So let's just get her on the phone real quick. And there we go. It's ringing.
Hello, this is Marilyn.
Good morning, goddess.
Good morning, goddess.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, I have you here on the weekly message, and so our listeners are excited to hear from you. And I told them a little bit about what we wanted to talk about. I mentioned that it had to do with the word patience. And there's two ways to spell patience, right? And they mean different things, but they sound the same. There's
That's correct.
and you're
I'm a
both.
patient and I am patience, learning
Yes.
patience.
Yes, yes.
And it's so fascinating. I've talked to a very few people, and those that I have talked with have said, "Well, what is all this about? What's the message? All of that." And what do you hear from Adironda? And it's like, it doesn't really work that way. But what I'm seeing is that through all this, I'm really learning as a patient to be very patient and to be very present.
Yeah.
And when I first came out of surgery, it's like I wanted to get out of the hospital right then, and I was on a ventilator. I know that very term of ventilator probably scares the pee wadding out of people. It did me, and so I wanted it out. So I I pushed the energy, and talked to the doctor. I couldn't talk to the doctors because you can't talk when you're on a ventilator. And I was, just really pushing the energy for them to take it out. And they obliged, and they took it out, and it was too soon. And so that set me back a couple of days because they had to put it back in. And that's when I really learned, just to be very present with what's happening with your own bodily functions. I'm here in one of the best hospitals in the country with more pulmonary hypertension specialists than any place else in the country.
Yes.
And I mean, the diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension is better than it was when I came in.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
I know my blood pressure has leveled out, and it all shifted after they put the ventilator back in. And I just decided that I'm just going to be very present and very healing. And I was talking to my heart and talking to my lungs and loving them, and just being present. And that's where the patience comes in, because I they get me up to stand, which
Mhm.
feels so good. you know I never thought standing would feel so good. But it did. And then they said, okay, so now march in place. And I thought, okay, no big deal. And as I marched in place at the speed that I normally would, I got a little off balance. And I thought, where's Sekhmet with those selenite swords? But obviously, I was not out of my body and I was not channeling. But what I discovered was that when I focused, then I could maintain my balance. And that's kind of what happens when Sekhmet comes in, is I'm completely aside, stepping aside, and Sekhmet is focusing the energy, not pushing the energy, just focusing the energy. And so I've been practicing on focusing the energy when I move around, and that's what makes a huge difference. That's where the patience comes in. And that patience is about letting your own natural body rhythm take charge.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been practicing.
And I noticed also, in the times that I sat with you in the hospital, is that when you concentrated on your heart rate and were very present with it, you could actually move the numbers. Like
I,
when we knew the numbers were a little out of, the range that the doctors like to see them in, I realized that you would just, hold your heart and then you must have been speaking in your mind to it, and then the numbers would shift.
right, right. And that's where in a holographic healing, I really am wanting to work with the healers. That the challenge is, or the opportunity, I guess it's truly an opportunity,
Uh huh.
is because the diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension is so unusual. I mean, it is not a common thing at all. And so they don't know quite how to treat it. So, you can't, for the holographic healers, you can't just say, okay, go in and work on the heart and go in and work on the lungs,
Right.
because it's something very specific. And I'm learning that. I'm learning that specificity.
Wow.
And that's what I was doing when I, with my intention, shifting the numbers to allow my heart to relax and allow the lungs to accept the air from my heart. And I was diagnosed with this is going to sound really gross, a tricuspid valve regurgitation, which in most instances is not a good thing.
Hmm.
In this instance, it is a good thing simply because it allows them to measure the pressure on my heart without an invasive procedure.
Wow.
So we discovered that. How cool is that?
Yeah. Was that the tube that was going into the center of your heart?
Right. That
Oh.
that my heart, at one point my heart rebelled and said, "Okay, you have to take this out. This is not going to work any longer." And it actually refused to let them put one back in.
Wow.
And then they said, "Well, let's try measuring it with an echocardiogram." And so, which is not invasive.
Mm.
And so that's the way that they've been doing it. And that's where the numbers showed up better. And so now that's how they do it. So I don't know if that's a common thing, but I don't think so. I think that was a kind of a maybe a newer discovery that they can count on that kind of a heart measurement.
Wouldn't it be amazing if when you come out, your stats are even better than before? I mean, obviously, they're going to be better than when you came out of surgery, but I'm talking about like, the week before you broke your arm.
I think that is my intention,
Yeah.
that my stats are better than they were in 2015.
Yeah.
I remember in 2015 when I had, excuse me just a second. This is a good thing for me to cough. They want me to cough. So in 2015, when I had surgery on my knee,
Uh huh.
my meniscus disc was torn,
Uh huh.
that there reached a danger point while I was under the anesthesia then. And I'd forgotten all about it.
Oh.
So I am focusing on my heart being better than it was since 2015.
Well, I love this idea of you learning patience. I'm
I know you do love the idea of me learning patience, but you know, in actuality, you're learning patience as well.
Yes, I am. I actually, I'm a planner and I like to keep enough space in front of all of our events so that, we can get the proper marketing out and everything. And this has been really challenging because, I've had people contact me and they want to know what's going on because, of course, they have to plan their lives as well, right? And
Right.
I had to learn to just say, I'm not going to make that decision today, but I might make it tomorrow. So contact me tomorrow and just really learn to take everything one day at a time.
And that's really the key with patience is to be present with where you are right here, right now, and be grateful
Yeah,
for every single tiny improvement.
absolutely. Well, thank you for talking to us today, Marilyn. I know, I should let people know that this is coming from ICU. I mean, that's our Marilyn. She wants to be on stage wherever she is. She doesn't want you to
and,
see her though. She just wants
and
you to hear it.
It's our Marilyn too to kind of weave away from the subject of patience and kind of weave back into it.
Yeah, and it's all good. All of the news coming from the doctors is good. I don't want our audience to worry
Absolutely.
about you. You are making progress every day, and you're going to the regular hospital tomorrow. Um,
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
so by the time people see this video, you probably be out.
I'll probably be out of the hospital and on my way back to Missouri.
Of course, I think I said that on the last time we did this before you went into surgery. But I'm confident that you'll be out by the time people are watching this video.
Yes, I will be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Marilyn, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
and I love you, and I will see you later.
I love you too. I love all y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Namaste, y'all.
Namaste.